All right, welcome back. Remember in our last session, I brought up the term functional harmony, and I'm going to continue along that avenue of functional harmony. Functional harmony means how stuff works. The two of the principles of functional harmony are tension and resolution. There is no harmony without tension and resolution. So that this comes to mind. Beethoven's wife used to do this to get him out of bed in the morning. Now that's very unsatisfying, and he'd have to get out of bed and do this, and resolve that leading tone, which was just sort of hanging in the room. And that's a bit of an example of tension and resolution, right? And everything in harmony has to do with tension and resolution. Okay. Now, last time we talked about chords coming from scales. We looked at the scale of C major. And then we looked at the chords that are built from the scale of C major, namely C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C. We didn't really use a B diminished, the seventh chord, very much, because the B diminished actually is it can be described as a G7 chord with no root, right? And we'll delve into that a little bit more later. So this gave us two different keys, and those two different keys were a tonic, 4-chord, 5-chord, and a 1-chord in a major key. But in the relative minor key, which is also embodied right within the scale, we have the A minor being the 1-chord, the tonic, the D minor being the 4-chord, in the minor key, and the E minor being the 5-chord. All right, so we have two keys. Now, the only difference between a C major scale and an A minor scale is the starting point and the ending point. In other words, the tonal center. You'll hear me using that word over and over again. So the tonal center. So in the case of C major, in the key of C major, our tonal center is C. But in the case of A minor, our tonal center is A minor. So when we put the chords together in a key, the chords that are derived from the notes of a C major scale, we effectively end up with two different keys. One is the C major key, and the other is its relative minor key of A minor with its 4-chord of D minor and its 5-chord of E minor. Okay. Now, how does that work? Well, when you take a look at the A major of the C major scale, when you take a look at the C major scale, what forms that C major scale is a tone, another tone, a semitone, a tone, tone, and a semitone. Right? So the same thing down here. It's just harder to see. Tone, semitone, tone, and semitone. However, when you change the tonal center and start from A, now all of a sudden, relationally speaking, you have a different set of tones and semitones because you're starting from a different place. So natural minor scale, we have a tone. Remember, a tone is a distance between two notes. So A to B is a tone, B to C is a semitone, C to D is a tone, D to E is a tone, E to F is a semitone, F to G is a tone, and G to A is a tone. So effectively, even though we've derived all of these notes from the scale of C in this case, that was our starting point, now we have a different key within the key of C major. We have that relative minor key, and that relative minor key is the scale, is built on the scale of tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone, because it starts from an A, not a C, which is very different than tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, which is what we get with a C major. All right. Now that's also going to affect the chords, all the chords in the key. So in the key of A minor, which is relative to C major, we have the same chords, but they're all in different relationships to each other. In other words, we have a 1 A minor chord, we have a 2 B diminished, a 3 C, a 4 D minor, a 5 E minor, a 6 F, a 7 G, and back to the 1. All right. Now that's quite different. Those are different sounding chords than what we find in the key of C major, because all the tensions are different. Now remember that the 1 chord in the key of A minor is A minor. The 4 chord, or the subdominant, as we discussed last session, the 4 chord is a D minor, and the 5 chord is an E minor. So the tonic, subdominant, and dominant chords, being the 1, 4, 5, are all minor chords, whereas in a major key, the 1, 4, 5, or the tonic, subdominant, and dominant are all major chords. All right. Now this is going to... This study, I would say, is functionally about relative minor key, right? And I want to give you a strong foundation in being able to understand how relative keys work. It's really important. Once we get a firm foundation in relative minor keys, relative major keys, conversely, then we're going to begin to look at parallel minor and parallel major. And that's where it starts getting really good. But practically speaking, right now, when you play a chord, if it's since we're in the key of C, I don't want you to think just of this C chord anymore. I want you to think immediately of its relative minor at the same time. Now, they both function the same. They're both tonic sounds. The same thing goes for the 4 chord of F. Its relative minor is D minor. So as soon as you put down an F chord, I want you to think of a D minor chord. Or vice versa. Play a D minor, and that should say, maybe I'll try an F instead. If I play an A minor, that's a little bit dark. Maybe I'll try C instead. If you play G major, you immediately think of E minor. If you play an E minor, you immediately think of a G major. It's like they're slightly different shades of the same colors. And obviously the minor is a darker shade and the major is a lighter shade. And these you can change and manipulate all the time. This is again the focus of this series is songwriting and understanding the fundamentals of harmony. And harmony, the study of harmony has to do with how chords behave in the context of chord progression, in the context of tension and resolution. So I hope that was a help to you. Try to remember the words we're talking about. This page, words like tension, resolution, and functional harmony, for instance. The pages I have here, I will also have linked in the description, and I think they'll help jog your memory as to what we have discussed thus far. Okay, great. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for your support, and I hope that this will be a journey that really is a lovely walk in the sunshine for you.